You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCCW LP Conroe and 106.1 KZCC LP Conroe and worldwide at irlonestar.com.
Shall we begin? Let's begin now.
All right, welcome to the Ticket Stub, episode 117. It is the December year, and we're talking about movies today. The movie reviews today are going to be Long Shot and Good Boys by Chris and I. Don't forget, as you're listening to this, if you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, our YouTube channel, Facebook channel. We occasionally do our shows live, so we encourage folks to follow us on Facebook. That way they can see and tune in to our Facebook Live channel. But today's episode is going to be pre-recorded. We couldn't really get together with all the crazy stuff going on these days, especially with the holidays. But we have Chris with us and I, Dick, being the host today. So we miss you, Connor. Hopefully you're not watching too much Disney Plus with all those new kids you have. All right, let's start episode 117, man.
117, that's pretty good, 117.
Yeah, man, it's exciting. Well, usually in the show, we start off with movie news and box office stuff. So how's the box office these days over at the Grand Theater,
It was
Chris?
a slow weekend this weekend. I took a day off on Saturday, so that's usually the big day,
Yeah.
so I wasn't there for that. But, yeah, it was a little slow. It was a little slower than I thought it would be. But we've got Jumanji coming up this Friday and something else.
That's going to be a big movie, I bet.
We're hoping it is.
Well, that first one, or the newer first one, was a surprise success. From what I remember, I think it reached the 750 million range.
Wow, yeah.
I think it did, something like that. So, I mean, I imagine that's a nice surprise because traditionally reboot / sequel, whatever you want to call that one, don't really do that well on a track record.
Well, and it's so different from the first one.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, they did the smart thing where they kind of adapted to today's age.
Yeah,
and
they hired The Rock. That was the smartest thing they did.
Well, they did a video game. It was a video game.
Yeah.
And they incorporated a lot of the video game aspects with their abilities and stuff. So I like what they're doing with this one where they're doing the Danny DeVito and Danny Glover grandfathers get sucked in, and then they're like the Jack Black character,
Yep.
and then one of them's The Rock. So I imagine being an actor.
Danny DeVito is The Rock.
The
in
Rock.
This one, yeah.
Yeah, and Danny Glover's, I believe he's Jack Black. I believe.
I'm not sure.
So if anyone hasn't seen the previous one, this one's you should definitely see it before seeing this one because it's definitely a sequel to it, and you won't really understand the mechanics of what's going on in the movie. But that's coming out this weekend. What else is coming out? Do you know?
Yeah, there's something else. I've totally forgotten.
Oh, here we go. No, I was kidding. Well, it's different all around the world, like different release dates and everything. I know the Golden Globes got kicked off, and then the Screen Actor Guilds, I think they announced their stuff. And
Yeah, Ricky Gervais is coming back to host
For
the
Golden
Golden Globes
Globes.
again.
Smart.
I'm excited about that. Yeah, that is smart for ratings-wise. I think
Yeah,
he's
well, I
always
mean,
a solid
It's
get.
always strange to me that the award ceremony, especially with movies, is now that's the critique. No one really cares about too much of like who's winning, who's up for it. It's more of like who's hosting. Is it going to be a good show? And I'm
Yeah.
thinking to myself, well, traditionally it's always been the kind of the same format. You do always do the ones that are up for music and they perform. Best score. I mean, I don't think they even do best score. They just do like the Frozen 2 song, and that's about it when it comes to entertainment. There might be a couple.
Yeah, in the Golden Globes, there's none of that. There's no music or anything.
Well, yeah, because you remember back in the day when it was the Oscars was awesome with Billy Crystal.
Oh, yeah.
And he would do those hilarious skits, and they kind of did with the other people, and like they kind of celebrated that year's movies with the skits. So it kind of reminded folks like, oh, you didn't see this one, you're not going to get the joke. So it kind of made you want to watch them all.
The best one was when Hugh Jackman hosted and he did a musical number
Yes,
before. That was so good.
They
It was
have
so good.
entertainment expected. Like I understand that the actors are there and they're excited about being nominated, but for the viewer, you're like, this is becoming something I can just wake up for tomorrow's paper and just see it. Like who won it? Oh yeah, cool.
Well, I think in the past couple of years, it's gotten very political and very Me Too-ish and very, racial.
It's not entertaining.
Right? Yeah, it's they're in their own little world.
It was a little entertaining when they kind of did the wrong Best Picture.
That was pretty
kind
funny.
of entertaining.
Yeah.
It's almost that'd be as funny as they're trying to one up Steve Harvey. and they didn't succeed at all because Steve Harvey, you know.
No, that was way worse.
Yeah, if you don't know what we're talking about Steve Harvey was the host of the Miss America or Miss Universe, I think it was.
Talk about crushing somebody's dreams. My goodness.
And he read the wrong card or the wrong word, whoever won.
That happened again. It was last weekend.
Really?
That the show was on, and it happened again. He introduced somebody as the wrong country.
He just kind of.
But he blamed it on the teleprompter.
Well, you know what's funny is now he's open for easy joking with. Like, if I was a teleprompter writer, I would totally write stuff like that in. Because I remember when it happened, he legitimately thought he was wrong. Like, he goes, I was wrong. How do I fix this? And he showed the card, and the card was kind of
confusing.
It was kind of confusing because I think the runner-up was the bigger name.
Well, it says, like, first runner-up, and it's like, okay. That's confusing. I don't know why they say first runner-up.
But, no, that was very entertaining, that's for sure. So, hopefully this Oscars and Golden Globe, like, the Golden Globe is going to be good. There's a bunch of YouTube videos of Ricky Gervais hosting. What do you hosted, like 3 years, 4 years total?
I think this is his fourth time, I think.
Yeah, so it's very entertaining. He's not afraid to make fun of Mel Gibson.
Yeah, but every time he's like, I'm going to go for broke because I'm never going to do it again. And he says that pretty much every time. So you really don't know if that is the case. Well, I mean,
that's his stick. I don't think he's really meaning that. I think it's just more of, like, he sat there one time advertising his version of The Office.
Yeah.
He had the DVD on sale. I think he's entertaining enough that they let him do whatever he wants. And then if he doesn't say the F word, or get fined, they're like, all right, we'll keep him open for next year. But yeah, it's a smart move. And box office wise, a lot of good movies are coming out. I know the theater has been kind of hit or miss in the past like 2 or 3 weeks with some disappointing flops like Playmobil. I mean, I wonder why that flopped.
Yeah, that was. We did $5 tickets on that too, and it still didn't do anything.
Is that a call up? They call you and be like, hey, change this to $5.
It's a film department decision.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Yeah, trying to do ticket sales, I guess. I don't know anything about that. But surprisingly enough, a lot of Netflix movies were up. They did a solid round this season for movies. So congratulations to those guys who they put a lot of money. I mean, the Irishman movie was like $140 million. I don't know why it would cost so much. What's crazy to me thinking about that was I think Lord of the Rings trilogy costed like 180 or something like that.
Yeah,
the whole 3 movies.
Well, this is quite a cost for the de-aging. That must have been it.
Yeah, right. With all those deep fakes you see going around, like some kid some kid in their basement's doing.
That's what I'm saying. We should. I think we should just be okay with that. Like, if you can put John Wayne or Marilyn Monroe in a movie again, even though it's really not them, let's just do it. It's okay. People would like that, I think.
Yeah, well, I'm wondering if the star power is disappearing. Where, like you said, we already have a Marilyn Monroe. We don't really need to invest time and a career on another person to hope to become the next Marilyn Monroe. And you just kind of do it
Kim Kardashian.
Well, for example, I was overhearing a conversation. We were talking about movies with a bunch of buddies, and one of our older friends mentioned that when he went to go see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he's like, I couldn't believe how old Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio looked in the movie.
Really?
Yeah, he's like, I always imagined them being, real young in all the movies they've been in, but I guess they didn't do a lot of makeup for this one. I don't really know. But, yeah, let's move on to movie news. We were talking about the Ghostbusters trailer dropped.
Yes, it did. Yep.
So from what I understand about this is directed by the son of the original director of Ghostbusters 1 and 2.
Correct. And
it's a continuation story, at least from that canon.
Yeah, so forget the female Ghostbusters. The female doesn't exist.
So far, as we know.
Yeah,
we don't really know if it's the trailer. I would call this trailer teaser. What I'm going to do real quick, I'm going to set up the computer and I'm going to play this trailer for us. And I always felt this trailer is a teaser. It has to be because I didn't get any substance from it.
What's the length on it?
This one's 1:47. So
okay, yeah.
I'm gonna pull it up for us to watch, and let's check it out. You probably need headphones to hear it, but you
oh no, I've
seen it. What are you doing here in Somerville? Honestly, my mom won't say it, but we're completely broke, and the only thing that's left.
No, you're right.
Is this creepy old farmhouse our grandfather left us in the middle of nowhere. Oh my god, this is way worse than I thought it was gonna be.
I found this in my living room.
Whoa, killer replica.
A replica of what?
A ghost trap? There hasn't been a ghost sighting in 30 years. New York in the 80s? It's like The Walking Dead. Your dad never mentioned this to you?
It's just my mom. My grandfather died. My mom says we're just here to pick through the rubble of his life.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
I mean, the teacher doesn't know who he is?
Apparently
Call
not.
it luck. I believe that everything happens for a reason.
Come on, darling.
It has a gunner seat?
Those darn kids. Those darn kids.
Where's the fun?
Oh my
Oh, well, there you
gosh.
go. Okay.
That is the best thing I've ever seen.
Where's the funness from the first two Ghostbusters? That was very serious to me. That whole trailer was very serious.
Well, I mean, I think it's going to be there. If their kids are going to be the main people in it,
Yeah,
you
that's
need
what
to
I was
get
worried
over it,
about.
really.
Obviously, they are, and that would lead me to believe that Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, those guys are going to be like maybe at the very end. Like you're just not going to see them at all, which is kind of disappointing because we really wanted to have them be there throughout the film, and it doesn't appear that that's the case. So.
I think you are making too many assumptions because we don't know exactly the details of the
You are correct,
entire
we don't.
movie. Well, that was pretty interesting. I'm not really a big Ghostbusters fan. I know there was a well-made production, and when you watch the movie, it's an enjoyable movie,
Oh,
and
they're
it's
great,
kind of
yeah.
a staple in some homes. So I get it why it's successful. And I don't know how many toys they're gonna sell, but there's that. So
Oh, they're going to sell a ton of toys. I didn't even think about that.
yeah, I figure that's why they're making it. Or some internal dialogue about how crappy the female one and tarnishes my dad's history of that one successful movie he'd made. I don't really know. So,
I mean, I kind of like the way that they're going with kids because Stranger Things and kids are like it's just like the thing right now. So I kind of understand that.
Yeah.
I just hope that we get what we want, and everybody who's listening knows exactly what we want. Who's a
are you
Ghostbusters
saying that
fan.
you finally want a ghost on male-female relationship? Is that what you're trying to say?
like a transgender ghost?
That's what everyone wants.
A transgender
No, they
ghost?
want everyone to be living together. So I'm dating.
Oh,
I'm
like
dating,
perfect harmony with
yeah.
ghosts. Okay, well, yeah, sure. I was speaking more of I want to see Bill Murray.
Well,
is
what's
what I
funny
was-
is like the cartoon. They had cartoons of the Ghostbusters. I never fully understood if it was actually ghosts or if it was a combination of like the dead is rising and there's monsters
like demons.
Well, yeah, because I remember in the second one there was demons. Like full on demons, like they were
Yeah, it was
like animal
Vigo.
demons.
Vigo, the
So it wasn't necessarily just
Dark
ghosts
Prince
who've
dude,
been
yeah.
hanging out in the library, and they're like, "Oh, it's the old librarian that died 200 years ago
Mm-hmm.
because she's a witch." But yeah, I'll check it out. We'll check
hopefully Rick Moranis is in it. I have not heard that he
Yeah.
is, but his kids are grown up now, so I think he could probably do it if he wanted to.
it. I think he can do whatever he wants.
Yep.
But Steve Guttenberg cannot. He's one of those actors back then. He can never come back.
Steve Guttenberg.
All right, let's move on to other news. IMDb is a website, internet movie database that kind of is the Library of Congress when it comes to movies. It has all the information you need to know what's coming up and all that kind of stuff. Well, they released a top 10 2020 most anticipated movies. So we're going to go down the list a little bit, and we're going to give our thoughts. And feel free to give us your thoughts on our social media. So number one, and this is based off of numbers. So this isn't just like some team at IMDb put together. I think it's people viewing
Like
web pages,
clicks, yeah.
clicks, and all that stuff. So there is some fact stuff behind these numbers, which is nice. Number 1 is, should we go down for number 10 to 1?
Yeah, go
okay,
10 to
so
1.
10 to 1. 10 to 1 is Fast and Furious 9, which comes out May 22nd.
See, I thought that would be number 1.
Well, you know what's funny is what was it, 7 when Paul Walker passed away? I think it lost its direction because they didn't really know what to do. Because now they make The Rock and Jason Statham separate movies. So what's the family going to do now? I mean, the only thing they can do is pull a Ghostbusters 2020 and have Paul Walker's kids be 15 years old and stealing cars and doing stuff like that. But
is The Rock back in it?
I mean, they have to. They're gonna have to do something with him if they want to make a Hobbs and Shaw 2. They have to, because that's the only way people get familiar with the brand, which has been around for like over 2 decades, I think, almost 2 decades. But
It's been a long time.
You have to have that reinforcement in all the movies because that's what people expect. Like you said, you want to see what you want to watch. Like, this is what you want, and you got to have that rapport between Vin Diesel and somebody. So,
Yep.
Number 9 is The King's Man. I mean, I think the other two were. It's The Kingsman.
Oh, another Kingsman.
Yeah, but this is like the first, like the origin story.
Oh my gosh.
So they're going for it.
Why
I
they do
don't
that?
see why not. Those are enjoyable movies. Number 8, which is possibly my number 1, is Dune, December 18th. I'm looking forward to this movie. I think this is going to be the biggest hit or
Is
biggest
Sting in
miss.
it? Does he make a cameo? Sting?
No, that'd be great.
should.
He should do a song.
Wasn't he in the first Dune? I think he was.
Yeah, he was in the original
Yeah,
1980. It was 1988 or 6 or something like that.
Yeah.
And so that's coming out. I'm very excited about it. It has a great combination of actors, production company, and especially the director. It's the same director who did Blade Runner, the newest Blade Runner. So if you've seen that movie, you get a good feel. Like, I think he has a good tone. He understands the material and knows how to set it. Now, dialogue-wise, I don't really know. Because some of the stuff in Dune, I don't know if you're a fan of Dune, if you read Dune, there's a lot of mystical things.
I played the video game.
Well, there's a lot of
on Nintendo.
mystical things going on. And it's kind of hard if you're not a sci-fi person to be like, oh, it's so much fun. Because you're like, wait a second, there is a thing called, spice, and somehow that spice creates this energy that they consume, a special race of aliens consume, and it allows time travel? Like,
Is it a dune of sand or a dune of spices?
Well, Dune is Arrakis. Arrakis is the only planet that produces spice. Okay. So other people call it Dune, but there's a culture there. Like, it's kind of like, we invaded this culture, and the Arrakis is the culture that the natives call it Arrakis, but the new people call it Dune. Yeah. So number 7, Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah, that's going to be
trailer's
good.
out right now. That's come out in June 5th.
I still haven't seen the first Wonder Woman.
It's all right.
Believe that or not.
It's all right. I think what really bothers me about the current comic book movies is you could definitely tell a lot of it's shot in a studio, where they try to make it like, oh, they're in New York or whatever.
Like all of it, yeah.
And that's like
Avengers is.
Yeah, well, yeah, and it's just kind of like, I can tell it's a set a lot of times, and it takes me out. Especially like Spider-Man Far From Home. Some scenes are really done well, and the other scenes, like, well, why'd you do it in Venice? I think it was in Venice where a majority of the movie took place, and it was like, you can totally tell this bridge is not part of Venice. But then other scenes look more like they're more ingrained in the town. So you're like, okay, I can actually see down a square block and not just see kind of fuzzy square blocks after that. So number 6 is Mulan, the live-action remake. I guess people are excited about that one. I don't really know. It's coming out March 27th.
Interesting.
Black Widow, number 5, May 1st. The trailer's out right now. Check it out. It looks interesting. Number 4, No Time to Die, April 8th. That's the James Bond movie.
That's the one I'm looking
trailer
forward
looked
to.
really good. It's out right now. Check it out.
Really good, yeah.
Excited about that movie. Number 3, Top Gun Maverick, June 26th. No trailer for that one yet. Some teasers. So there's really not any plot inside. I think I still, last time I was reading, Maverick's on his way out. And is it a whole new cast, or is it still Maverick's story? That's not.
I think he's teaching younger pilots,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong.
And then number 2, Sonic the Hedgehog, which I kind of understand why it's number 2 because it
don't.
clicks. Because
how?
Well, they had that debacle several months ago where Sonic
Yeah.
looked like an actual hedgehog and not the cartoon video game version. So they redid it.
Well,
so
hedgehogs,
imagine how many
they
people
don't
are
have perfect
checking it out.
teeth. They
How
took
many-
the teeth out.
Yeah, well, I mean, How many people do you think are checking out the IMDb page? I can see number 2. I can see that being in the top 10 at least.
Really?
Because that was probably one of the most controversial, bigger movies that have been announced that haven't come out yet.
That could be a major flop.
On social media stuff. Number 1, Birds of Prey, February 7th. This is a direct sequel to Suicide Squad, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Or not
Yeah,
direct. It's like universe sequel.
I don't understand how this is number 1.
I mean, I can just see people checking it out. Like they're interested to see who's in the Birds of Prey, the female cast, Ian McGregor's in it. I mean, I can see it. I guess I don't really know. I have no desire to see this movie especially after Suicide Squad. How disappointing that movie was. Mm-hmm. It was just kind of like they're trying to starve this brand out.
Yep,
they're trying to be like, how can we really fit and sell toys and stuff like that?
Well, I think everybody liked Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, so
yeah, and it's like we gotta get
so there. It's kind of this is basically the Harley Quinn movie, kind of,
or
Harley Quinn. So I don't know.
It's a good top 10
It could go
list,
either way.
that's for sure.
It definitely is.
All those movies I do kind of want to see a little bit. Yeah, I think though out of all those movies, Mulan's the only movie on there that I have like zero interest in seeing.
Have they put out a trailer yet for
No.
that? They haven't. Yeah, I'm gonna wait for the trailer.
So out of all those movies, what's your most likely, most wanted, and most
obviously
unwanted?
Well, most wanted, No Time to Die,
No Time
for
to Die.
sure.
Okay.
It comes out in April. And least wanted.
This is anticipated, so we're talking about the top 10 anticipated.
Gosh, least wanted. The Kingsman origin. I don't get that. I mean, they've only made 2 Kingsman movies. Is it time to start from the beginning?
It's like World War One, I think, is when they're doing it.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, okay.
Well, what's interesting to me about it, and if somebody knows more about British cinema or British literature, I didn't know. Like, was this an existing IP, and it's been in the UK for a long time? It's like, oh, we actually finally made a cool. Because I know the UK does that occasionally. Like, they'll do Paddington Bear, where it's like, let's make it something that's British. We got to make it British. And I feel like this is one of those things I just totally wasn't aware of because I'm not from the UK. So. But yeah, I can't believe that's on your least. What
it is, yeah. You got the watch one next. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up. So I sent this article over to my buddy over here, Chris, who loves watches.
Yeah.
And where did you send the article?
Huh? You texted it to me.
Yeah, after you
okay,
put it in the package. We put a package together.
Yeah.
So basically, what it is the watch that was in. What movie?
Apocalypse
Now, worn by Marlon Brando. Mm-hmm. It was a Rolex
GMT Master.
Yeah, and it sold for like $1.9 million. And so he wore it in the movie, which is interesting to me.
Well, it's kind of a not controversial, but it's an interesting
But you know the watch world. Why is this watch important?
Well, the watch is cool. There's actually 2 watches from that movie. It was this one and then one that Martin Sheen wore, a Seiko 62 Moss or 6105. I think I got off the top of my head. And so and the Marlon Brando watch. But the controversy is the watch is missing what's called the bezel, which is the numbers that are like on the outside, like rim. If the best way I can describe it, like right here. If you're looking at mine right here. This part has been taken off.
Of course, he brought his watch to show off.
Well, no, I always wear a watch. But so that part is missing, and there's some controversy like, did he just pop that off himself, or did it fall off? And I don't think anybody really knows. So that's why that watch is interesting, because it's missing that part. And, it wasn't in the movie. So it's one of the most kind of sought-after watches in the watch community right now. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sounds so boring.
Yeah, and if anybody's got 1.9 million, I'm not sure what they originally
and it's missing
sold
some
for.
Pieces, folks. No,
it is missing, a piece, but I guarantee you that it probably still runs.
What I was thinking when I was reading this article? I thought it'd be really funny to do a movie plot where, you know how there's always that sci-fi, if you take DNA, you can reconstruct, kind of like in Fifth Element kind of stuff, where some DNA was left on that guard's hand or whatever. Remember, that's how they reconstructed her? Was like some DNA was like that hand from the explosion. Remember that scene from Fifth Element? And I was like, okay, I could totally see a whole movie around people treasure hunting for certain items of clothing and things that the person might have worn, and they try to reconstruct famous people. I can see that being a movie. But clearly you're interested in it because you're looking at your phone.
Well, no, I'm trying to see what the original cost of the watch was. I would imagine the original price of that was probably around maybe $2,000, roughly, maybe. But yeah, there's a photo of him wearing it right there, and he wore it, with the dial side down, like underneath his palm, which some people do that.
I think that's an Army thing, right?
I'm not
When
sure.
you're holding your gun and like you're sitting there, like that's how
I guess so, yeah.
I figure. That's for people who are trying to change the world.
But 1.9 million.
I mean, it's a
that's
Rolex.
crazy.
I always know there's an expensive price. And you have Marlon Brando involved. So yeah, I can see why.
yeah.
I can see
Yeah.
why it's expensive. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so there's our movie news. Most anticipated films according to IMDb, and then of course the Rolex watch. So yeah. So do you want to take a quick break and then we come back with
Yeah.
our movie reviews?
We'll do.
All right, guys, you've been listening to the Ticket Stub here on Lone Star Community Radio, irlonestar.com. Don't forget, we podcast this episode. So if you're watching us on Facebook, you can subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, and vice versa. We'll be right back here on the Ticket Stub.
Let's begin.
Hey guys, I'm Joey Savage.
Corey DLG.
We are Nerd Thug Radio. Catch us every Monday from 1 to 3 and check out our website, nerdthugradio.com.
We like to talk about quilting, horseback riding, and baking quiche.
Actually, we don't, but we do like talking nerdy to you.
That's right. Every Monday from 1 to 3 p.m., hashtag talking nerdy to you.
Hey guys, this is Connor.
This is Dick.
This is Chris.
And we're with the Ticket Stub Podcast every Thursday live at noon on 104.5 and 106.1 FM in the Conroe area. Also, anytime at irlonestar.com. You go to irlonestar.com/TTS. You can find all of our social media.
And don't forget, we give away 2 tickets to the Grand Theater on every show.
If you like movies and you like complaining or celebrating anything that has to do with the silver screen, check out the Ticket Stub Podcast and join us every Thursday at noon o'clock on Lone Star Community Radio. All right, we're back here on the Ticket Stub Podcast, irlonestar.com, episode 117. So we're going to go on to our movie reviews. So I'm kind of excited about this. It's just Chris and I today, folks. Connor's out. So we're only going to review 2 movies. The 2 movies we're reviewing today are Long Shot and Good Boys. So if, Chris, would you like to go first?
I would if I could find IMDb on my phone because I need to get some information on it here.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, here we go. Here we go.
All right, take
All
your
right,
time.
so
take your
Good
time.
Boys. This came out this year. It stars, I want to update the app right now. That'd be perfect timing.
Hate that. I can go if you want me
No,
to
I
go.
got it. Jacob Tremblay, who's the boy from The Room with,
Okay.
what's her face? I forgot.
Captain Marvel is what I call her.
Yes, Captain Marvel, Keith L. Williams. These are all the kids, and Brandon Noon. So no kids you've heard of. There's nobody in this you've heard of at all. So the plot is that 3 6th grade boys ditch school and they embark on an epic journey while carrying accidental stolen drugs and being hunted by teenage girls.
Yeah, typical upbringing.
Yeah,
coming of
they're
age story.
Yeah,
I like
they're
it.
trying to get home in time to go to a kissing party where one of the boys
we've all
has a
been there.
crush on, a girl. She's going to be at the kissing party, all that stuff. But I was reading one review, and it said that this movie is just flat out distasteful. It's
Well, they're walking that thin line of adult humor, but with children. So it's kind of weird seeing a 13-year-old boy, 12-year-old boy with a dildo.
yeah.
So it's kind of strange.
Yeah.
So,
Did you see this movie?
No.
You didn't. Okay. I'm gonna have to agree with that person. It just didn't work, like not on any level, which is weird because at the theater it was huge for us.
Yeah.
Like people, I'm not sure what it did to the box
Well, I think
office
that
grosses.
humor resonates with people, and it's similar to the movie I'm reviewing, Long Shot. There's a lot of jokes that whoever wrote it was a good joke writer. And it was very humorous, but when all together,
No.
all together,
Not
it
this
didn't
one.
really come out.
Well, it was just like it was forced. Like they were forcing the kids to swear, forcing them to talk about sex stuff, and it didn't work. It was very distasteful. I think they were slightly too young. 6th grade is just,
Well, that's what Superbad. That's what Superbad was to me a easy move to get into because those guys are going to college. So you have that transition
Yeah,
in
that's what they were
someone's
trying
life.
to do super bad with sixth graders, and it didn't work. I think if they were like in early high school, maybe late middle school, it would have worked. But straight out of elementary, it didn't work at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. It wasn't funny. It was.
Well, it's not your cup of tea. It sounds like.
It wasn't. It was pretty offensive, and the kids. I mean, you could just kind of tell that they didn't. Weren't comfortable swearing or doing that stuff, doing the inappropriate things.
Yeah.
But the main kid, the African American kid, he's one of the main three kids. He is extremely funny. I found him funny, but he was the only thing I found funny in the movie, really. And gosh, I forget the actor's name that's in it. Plays Jacob Tremblay's dad. In it,
I don't know, man.
Pretty famous actor. Let's see, where is he? Will Forte.
Okay.
So it's going to be good if Will Forte's in it. But yeah, he plays his dad. I don't know.
All right.
It just
Well,
didn't
cool.
really work as
All right.
as a film.
Well, that's the Good Boys. Where'd you watch it?
I watched on Amazon. I rented it. off
Oh,
of
wow.
Amazon.
So you went out of your way to watch it.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I watched earlier, I think this movie came out in May, called Long Shot, and it's available on HBO streaming. So if you're interested in watching it, there you go. It's rated R. It's 2 hours and 5 minutes. Directed by Jonathan Levine. I don't know if you know who Jonathan Levine is. A younger director. He's directed 50-50, The Whackness, the movie Snatched. Not Snatch, but Snatch. Probably his biggest known movie is the 50-50. I know that was a success. And also, he works with Seth Rogen. I saw The Whackness. I enjoyed that movie. It had some good music in it. But Long Shot, the synopsis is, journalist Fred Filarski reunites with his childhood crush, Charlotte Field, now one of the most influential women in the world. As she prepares to make a run for presidency, Charlotte hires Fred, and her speech writing and sparks fly. So it's kind of advertised as a rom-com. Have you seen this movie?
Yes.
So one thing that I will say for sure, the humor's there. It's well written in the humor department. It has some funny jokes. Seth Rogen does an okay job. I particularly liked the interaction between him and his best friend, who's played by O'Shea Jackson Jr. He plays the character Lance. So Seth Rogen plays Fred. Charlize Theron plays Charlotte Field. Other ones, there's kind of some minor actors in there. One biggest surprise was Andy Serkis.
Yes, he was so great.
He plays Parker Wembley, who is basically the Fox News equivalent owner. So you don't know. I had no idea it was Andy Serkis because all the makeup and all that expensive Irishman aging they did on him. But
it took me about probably a couple of minutes before I realized it was him. So.
Yeah, I did not know it was him. But overall, the movie, and I would love to get an audience, listeners' perspective on this. The way they handled her position as Secretary of State, it did not feel that serious. In a sense of, or in reality, in a sense of, like, if we're in a reality scenario, because you always like those movies, those romantic comedies where he or she has a long shot to gain the love and respect of this person. So it could be a famous movie actor or, the President of the United States. We've had that with Kirk Douglas, or Michael Douglas, sorry. Is it American President? Is that the one that's kind of a rom-com?
Yep.
So that's the only thing that really confused me about this, because you could tell they didn't have a lot of money to spend on the grandeur of being Secretary of State, like the sets, the scenes, and the traveling and stuff like that. But I just didn't think it was that. I couldn't take it serious because there's just no way she would be acting this way, especially with the screenwriter. I think their ages really threw me off because they seemed very young to be at that level. She's running for president. She's probably 30, up in her high 30s at this time. And so I just couldn't, I don't know, I just couldn't really believe it. That kind of threw me off. Overall, I didn't really enjoy the movie just because of that, because I was like, oh, this is kind of stupid. But it was well written, and so it ended. It was good. There were some inappropriate scenes that I thought that I always love how people it's kind of like Forgetting Sarah Marshall when they expose the main character's penis a couple times. Like I feel like that's thrown in as a shock.
Yeah.
And like they're testing the waters of what can be accepted in rated R. There was a funny scene in this one with Seth Rogen where he was basically masturbating, and it was like
I don't know if I would call it funny.
Well, I mean, like, it was intended to be funny, and I'm sitting there going, like, I can't believe they wrote this down. And, of course, Seth Rogen's okay with it, because it's Seth Rogen's kind of humor.
I think he just went to the studio and was like, hey, I want to be in a movie where I get to make out with Charlize Theron.
She did really well.
And then they came up with this.
Well, I think if they can probably do the same plot, but I think it's hard to write hijink movies with a lot of inappropriate humor, but not make them older. Because if you think of the president of the United States, you think of someone older most of the time, right? Like, I'm talking like 60 or higher. Mm-hmm. And in this movie, that's the only thing that took me out of it. I was like, I just don't believe that this would be a scenario they're in, and this is what the outcome is. Like, it doesn't seem believable to me.
In a perfect reality, it would be realistic because you wouldn't have career politicians and things like that. So,
well, the way I looked at it
would be more like this.
The way I looked at it, it's like if Tulsi Gabbard, who's running for president,
Mm-hmm.
that's who I was like, okay, because she's in her 30s. And I was like, so she's going to have a rom-com with somebody, with a staff writer. And I'm thinking to myself, but the movie with the stuff they get into, I'm like, that wouldn't, like, she wouldn't last. Like, someone's watching her. Someone's always watching her.
Yeah.
But, you know, overall, it's on HBO. You can watch it and you can dig it. I think Holly and I watched it as a date movie. She didn't want to watch it anymore. We both agreed. We're like, it's not really, I don't really care what happens.
Okay.
So I didn't really, it was just.
Yeah, it's not a great film at all.
So I was kind of disappointed with that. So it's Long Shot, available on HBO streaming right now. It's rated R, and it's 2 hours and 5 minutes. So outside that, that's the movie review section of the Ticket Stub. So, moving on. Anything else going on in the movie world?
Did you see that Disney Plus is making a Home Alone
sequel? Yeah,
yeah, and they just casted the kid. I'm not familiar with this. Let's look it up for a second. I want to take a look and see.
Well, I mean, they did Home Alone 3, and I think there's a Home Alone 4, but it's not called 4. It's something else. And I'm interested why they chose to do this. And I don't know if audiences want to see another Home Alone movie. I think
I think they do.
Well, there's people who are writing movies directed towards kids to have that long-lasting effect. Like, because everyone has their nostalgic feelings, and it's like, oh, that movie made my 13-year-old self love XYZ. I love booby traps. I love being home alone. I love that kind of stuff. So I don't know what the current generation loves. I really don't. The only thing I can think of is like YouTube stars or something. I mean, I don't really know what they're into, so I have no idea how you're going to make a successful movie that will last a generation.
Archie Yates plays the main character.
Who's that?
I don't know. He's like 8 years old.
Okay.
Or he's 10.
Right.
But he won't play Kevin McAllister, they said. So it's going to be a different character. So it's not like a reboot. Yeah. It's just sort of like another movie. And then Ellie Kemper's in it as well.
All right.
So I like her a lot.
But, yeah.
She was on The Office.
The Star Wars is coming out, man.
Yeah, next week.
There's a lot of weird stuff, people getting pissed off, social justice warriors about different things, and then actors coming out being political about stuff. I wonder if, we're always talking about when the producers are going to basically put a leash on actors going, don't say anything that will literally cast aside half the audience.
It's surprising that hasn't happened yet.
Well, the most recent one was that the woman who plays Rey went on and basically said something like, if you support Donald Trump, you're, whatever, like, you're not insane, you're insane or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it's just, it reminds me of like what Hillary Clinton did, where she basically said, you're deplorable or whatever. I'm thinking, you got to convince people to vote for you, not tell people not to vote for you. Like, that's not what you do.
Yeah.
I imagine that's not what you do, but yeah.
Well, I've taken issue with celebrities getting involved in politics.
Well, I don't mind.
It's
not that it's not like it's our decision to ban art. Like people, I don't support Tom Cruise because he's a Scientologist. Like, I mean, some Hollywood people get involved in politics, meaning they campaign, they do that kind of stuff. Which I think they're going to do what they can do. I like it.
Well, I don't think that's what they're there for. But it's like,
if you're running a movie, you got one of the biggest movies coming out, like, don't say stuff that might prevent people from seeing the movie.
Definitely.
So, I mean, I think that's really important, especially as a producer. Like, okay, why would you do that? But I mean, there's some people who you just like. For example, Alyssa Milano. Do you think she chooses not to be an A-list celebrity?
No, I think she's just not.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think like at one point you start getting work because of what your behavior's like, and people are like, you know what? We're not going to deal with it anymore. Like, we're not going to give you any more jobs, but you can be on Lifetime and make a couple movies there because that's what people. I mean, like that. I imagine that's how that world works, and it's just kind of like you're going to be. If you're workable, you're going to be an A-lister for a while.
Well, it seems, from a Hollywood standpoint, if you're conservative or you're Republican or anything like that, you just don't work.
See, I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. Clint Eastwood's movie's coming out, and he has probably the most liberal actors in it. The Richard Jewell movie?
Yeah.
I mean, it has some of the probably most outspoken Kathy Bates, and then you got Olivia Wilde. You got, I mean, they're no.
Well, yeah, but Last Man Standing got canceled because of that.
So, because of what? Olivia Wilde?
No, because of
I
the
think
political views of it.
I mean, I think it depends on who's making the movie, and like, for example, who has talent. Like, look at Mel Gibson. That dude's got talent. You can't deny that he can't produce a good movie and make a good movie and act in a good movie. So it's kind of like, well,
yeah, but he's not involved in politics at all.
Well, I mean, like geopolitics, maybe. I mean, he's made some strong statements about some nationalities around these.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just saying.
He
like,
has. Yeah.
Yeah, but
he has.
I think
but we don't know if he's a Republican or a
talent,
Democrat.
you're gonna rise through that, and people are gonna want to see the movie, especially depending on the culture. Though, I mean, I don't really know if Alyssa Milano does say no to a lot of roles. I'm not really sure, but I know she's very spoken. She's very mobile. Like she's in DC.
I think
Twitter.
she's a good actress.
So
I would like to see her do stuff.
But I mean, Richard Jewell's coming out, which actually I'm glad we're talking about that because I was reading about some journalists are going. I'm not kidding you. They're going. Why are you depicting a journalist who slept with the source? That's not how journalists are. They don't sleep with their sources to get the info and stuff. And it reminded me. It was instantly the "Thank You for Smoking" movie where Katie Holmes' character, which is I think is based off a real character. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking like, well, it is a stereotype. It's kind of like, and why would you be so hateful on that stereotype? Sometimes they fall in love. Let's be happy about it. So, but they were saying that this movie makes journalists look bad. But
that's the movie that comes out this week.
Richard Jewell?
With Jumanji, yes.
Well, I mean, like, and especially in that kind of movie, that's what happened. From what I understand about the 1996 Atlanta bombing, like
that's such a shame, and I'm glad Clint Eastwood is telling that story because we forgot about it. I remember the story, and I remember that guy getting accused, but then it just sort of like went away. Like there was no closure of like, oh yeah, he didn't do it. We found the other guy. There really wasn't any like reporting on that. It was just like, oh, we think this is the guy that did it, and then eventually it was just like gone, and that's really not fair to him. I mean, that's ridiculous that you would accuse somebody and then he was, innocent. The guy that like found the bomb and actually probably saved a lot of people's lives, and then he gets accused of doing it. And then years later, you find the real guy that did it. And,
well, I know he got some money.
Like,
I know he got some money. I know he sued, and I bet that's going to be the end credit scene. Is he earned this much money from these news organizations because they're deceitful and blah 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 blah.
That was bad.
But I mean, that's what you get with a 24 hours news cycle. I mean, you got to be the first. And that's the way it's going to be. And I love how journalists are being vocal about not liking this movie because it depicts them in a negative light. And I'm thinking, why do we have to make all movies that are positive about journalists?
Yeah.
I mean, can't there be some sleuth journalists? I don't know. But that movie is going to be, I think it looks interesting.
Well, any Clint Eastwood movie is going to be good, I think.
But he's a hardcore Republican, isn't he? I'm pretty sure he is. Or especially the NRA kind of stuff. I know that.
He is, yeah.
So, I mean, you just don't have a John Wayne anymore. Right? No, I mean, I can.
No, you don't. Yeah, you don't.
I mean, I can see, and that's one thing I liked about the long shot in the movie. Actually, I mean, I can spoil it. It's been out for a while. One of the main characters' best friend he comes out as Republican and Christian, and there's a funny scene about that.
That was so unnecessary.
I thought it was hilarious.
I thought it was way unnecessary.
Because they turned it on Seth Rogen's character saying he was a racist. And he's like, I'm a racist. I can't believe it. Because he thought he wore his gold cross as a cultural thing, not a religious thing. And I mean, I think that's funny because there's some conversations like that with real people who have friends who are have all different types of beliefs and things like that.
It was just a forced joke to me. It just seemed really forced.
I mean, that movie only had like 8 people in it, so they couldn't really do anything else. But yeah, so I don't see it being an issue. I can see it preventing you from getting work if you decide to say certain things. Now, if you're a known Republican in Hollywood, I think if you're a good actor, you're going to get casted, no matter what movie.
Well, I mean, people like James Woods can't get work.
Yeah, but
now.
I think he kind of choose not to support that kind of stuff. He got very selective about where he was working. He wasn't like, hey, I got to have 4 films a year. These are the ones I'm doing. And these are the ones I want to like represent. I want it to be good. I want it to be truthful.
James Woods is a good actor.
Yeah.
I think he's really good.
No, I mean, I think you'd be an idiot not to consider James Wood in your movie if it role fits. Like you're gonna. I mean, I don't think people say no to James Wood. I think it's like no one can find him a role.
Yeah, it would just. I just wish
Space
everybody
Cowboys
could
2
kinda,
is probably gonna be remade. He'll be in it.
Yeah, everybody needs to just chill out and just take everything with a grain of salt. That's what we're missing now. Every single opinion is not the end of the world. Who's running for president is not the end of the world. It's not going to affect your daily life most of the time. So just chill out and roll with the punches.
Oh, is that your PSA for our audience today?
It is. That's
listeners?
Just if you don't
Just
like
chill
somebody's
out, dude.
opinion, respect them for even having an opinion. That's what I'd say, and nobody does that now. Very few people.
Unless they're speaking like genocide or something like that. Then you can kind of be like, tap on the shoulder, like, hey man, let's just chill out. It's
Well, but that's the thing. They don't know the difference between that now.
No.
Between something that serious and something not serious. No one knows the difference now, and that's the scary part of it.
Yeah. Well, the movies are looking good coming out till December, and we're going to be talking more about that. I might check out Richard Jewell. I do like Clint Eastwood. The Mule was pretty.
The guy
okay.
looks exactly like him, like Richard Jewell. Exactly.
Oh,
like
he was
him.
awesome in I, Tonya. And that was funny is when I saw that.
Oh, that's the guy? Oh,
yeah,
okay,
when I saw that, he
yeah.
was the dude who was actually hired to beat her up or
Yeah.
whatever. When I saw him in that, and then I saw that he got casted, I was wondering, like, I started looking up clips of Richard Jewell. And I was like, oh, this guy's going to get it spot on. Because I don't know if he's a method actor or whatever, but he's a good character actor. So hopefully that it helps him out. Do you think there's a reason why they didn't release it for an Oscar stuff? I mean, there's still a chance, but
I think it was probably to do with money. I would think more than like as far as they want to release it in a time where it's going to get some box office numbers, and it's a good movie for this time of year.
okay.
Like that wouldn't be a good summer movie. I don't see people going to see that.
No.
So this is really the only time it could be released.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's ticket stuff for today, episode 117, guys. Hopefully, next episode, Connor will be joining us. Thanks for joining us today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And we're always drawing for a lucky winner 2 tickets to the Grand or Amstar Theaters, any location. To enter, all you got to do is just direct message us, and we put in a pot, and then we kind of turn around, and we draw a name. And then we'll reach out to you, and you get a ticket. So that's 2 tickets every episode for the ticket stuff to Amstar or the Grand Theaters. And thanks to those guys supporting theaters. Go support your local theater. Go see a movie this weekend. Check it all out, or do whatever you want to do, but make sure it's a movie. You're listening to the Ticket Stub here on Lone Star Community Radio. We will see you guys later.